Tonight from Phoenix, Arizona, where, yes, it's still raining, and we have a roof here.
We're in Arizona. We're in the middle of a desert. We didn't see a cloud all week. We're sitting in the tunnel getting ready to come out. Probably the hardest rain I've ever seen in my entire life. Pouring in. Tanner's always in front, and you just knew what that meant to him.
For the biggest moments in Tanner Morgan's life, his dad, Ted, was always there. His first coach, who introduced the 23-year-old quarterback to the game.
He'd be the first one to build me up, encourage me to just continue to keep going and to have grit. He definitely was my biggest fan.
He was there and present, you know, and that was a blessing that he was able to do that.
Before he was a football dad, Ted Morgan was a military man who served in the U.S. Navy.
Ted loved the water. I think if he hadn't met me, he would have probably lived near the beach somewhere.
Ted was there in 2017 when Tanner got a call from PJ Fleck asking the recruit to decommit from Western Michigan and follow him to Minnesota. Then Ted followed Tanner, traveling to almost every Gopher football game.
Ted was the dad of the team, and he wasn't just the dad of Tanner. Everybody on the team loved Ted.
When we beat Penn State in 2019, and he was very joyous about that, and he actually ended up doing like an interview with Holly Rowe.
So how do you think your son Tanner played today in one of the biggest games of his career, Dad?
I think the team played outstanding. I think he played for the Lord, and I think they were blessed.
If there was one person that could find his way to be interviewed, it was Ted.
Then, in the spring of 2020, the Morgan family started to notice some subtle slurring in Ted's speech. Scans would reveal glioblastoma, an aggressive form of brain cancer.
He was like, we're just going to fight it. He would always say, Pat, you can't doubt. Don't doubt. Don't show disbelief.
Oh, that was good.
It almost didn't feel real that this is something that my dad was having to go through. I couldn't really believe it.
Despite the disease, Ted still made it to most of Tanner's games in 2020. But by May of 2021, his condition was much worse.
Love you. Love you.
One morning, his wife Pat was journaling through her grief when a storm outside brought her peace inside.
I just felt the rain was washing away the fear and the anxiety. I just felt something different after that day. And in my journal, I wrote about how I was at peace and I knew that Ted was okay. The rain just then became a symbol to me.
On July 12th, 2021, 14 months after his diagnosis, Ted Morgan passed away at the age of 58. At his funeral, naval officers honored their fellow sailor.
The sun was out, everything was beautiful, it was a beautiful day. And then the first note of taps, rain. I mean, it was not just a sprinkle, it was a downpour of rain.
It was just kind of one of those things that looked like it would be in a movie. I just remember watching it and just being like, wow.
The day after his father's service, Tanner went back to Minnesota to prepare for the upcoming season. That fall, the Golden Gophers went 8-4 and earned a trip to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl game in Phoenix, Arizona.
When we walked out, I felt something. I looked up and it was raindrops, and I couldn't help but laugh. I was like, okay. It was kind of a reassurance that my dad was definitely watching and was there in spirit.
18-6, the final score, Minnesota with the win.
Almost a year after Tanner's family lost one Morgan, they gained another. At a ceremony in Virginia, made even more moving by a sign from the sky.
I remember it being like a perfect light rain right before the ceremony. A beautiful way to smile and think about how my dad was there in that moment and watching his son get married to the woman that he loves.
There's a peace in believing those lost never really leave, that they are still here, still showing up, sharing these moments, showering us in love.
Thankfulness of the moments that I got to spend with him, and he's in a much better place now, but he's always still here with me.